Okay, so this is for Math 122, Unit 4 on the trig, and they give us this drawing similar to this, where there's a V-slot cut out, and it's telling us that this is 60 degrees, and that the distance from this point to this point is 2 3/4 inches. What they're asking us to find is how deep is this, the depth, like from this level to here, how deep is it? Find the depth, D. What they also tell us is the V-slot is symmetrical, which means it's evenly cut on both sides. So what that V-slot is doing is it's creating like a triangle, like this. So we have our 60 here. And if this is 60, then these are going to be exactly the same degrees. So if you kind of made a pretend triangle that goes across like this would also be 60 and 60. So just kind of keep some of that in mind. Now the depth here, if I'm looking at this triangle and we know it's 2 3/4 inches across the top here, then, and we know that each of these corners is 60 degrees, then what we could do is we could do a perpendicular line through this right here. That's the depth line. But notice it also forms a 90-degree angle right here, like we could have a right triangle here. And if we know that this side is 60, so what we're creating here is we're creating a right triangle out of that. This is 90, this is 60, because that's what we said this was. And we've cut this 60 in half, so this one's 30. 30 and 60 and 90, that's this space right here. And so we can use what we know about right triangles to figure out what this depth is. Because this line right here is the depth. Or right here in this drawing, that's the depth. Because it's right next to this one right here. So if we know this is our depth, we know that this mark right here has to be half of the 2 3/4. So if we said, you know, half of 2 3/4, and that's saying 1/2 times, and we turn this into a fraction only, so 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11, so 11 over 4. So when we do this, we get 11 over 8, 11 eighths. So half of 2 3/4 is 11 eighths. We could also call that 1 3/8. 1 3/8 is the same as 11 eighths. So half of 3/4 is 1 3/8. All right, so now we've got some information we can use here, because when we can use a couple different situations actually. We could use sine, laws of sine, because we have a side and an angle that matches. So we could say sine of 30 over 11 eighths is equal to sine of 60 over d, and that would give us our depth. And whenever we use law of sines, we can cross multiply and then divide. So I would say 11 eighths times sine of 60, and then find that answer, and then hit divided by sine of 30. That would be one method that we could use for this. So if we do that, let's see here, sine of 60 times 11 eighths. And remember, if you put sine of 60 in first, you got to make sure you close the parentheses around the 60 before you put times 11 eighths. and then divided by sine of 30. So I get 2.3815. So 2.381569, so we'll just call it 157. And in the directions they said round to the nearest hundredths place. So we'll call it 2.38.